Hi guys, and welcome into the final Gibson Show of 2023. And what a guest I have to round out the year. I am joined by the one and only Fludd from Australia, playing in NA. Fludd, how you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. So you've had a quiet couple of days. Have you been busy since PGC?
No, really just kind of relaxing and chilling out. Really not doing much, just enjoying my off season, to be honest.
How long of an off season do you think you're going to take? Is it going to be a long one?
No, I'm ready to play again. I'm just waiting for my teammates to get back home and they're ready to play as well. So I'm just waiting for everyone else to get home now.
Yeah. Well, look, it's hopefully going to be another big year for you guys in 2024. I know that I spoke to Trevor and I spoke to a few other people, and there's high hopes for the region in 2024. I think it's getting more competitive, which can only be a good thing because, you know, the rising tide raises all ships, I suppose, is something that people say. But before we talk about, you know, NA and we talk about 2024, as always, I always like to start these interviews with talking about how you got to where you are today. So for anyone watching who's, you know, doesn't know who you are or maybe only knows you from working in NA, why don't you tell everybody about your journey into competitive PUBG?
Oh gosh, I had such a long, crazy ass journey. I started, I think, at the very, very end of 2018. I just finished high school, so I wasn't really that good at the game. I was actually quite bad, to be honest. And my first team I ever joined was actually with a friend of mine who was friends with the Neverhor, who was on Athletico. And Atletico back in the time was a really big OS team. They're like the best OS team, pretty much, like up there, top three. And so we were Atletico Academy, with the academy team. And so I basically started on the academy team, and I played on there for a while. And then once that team disbanded, I joined another team. I bounced around a few OS teams until I managed to get a trial for the main Atletico team, which it was actually Greyhound at the time, but they just got picked up by Atletico. So that was like with Zoid mate and Luke 12, and back then it was also like Happy No Vites or Novites, and so that was the team that I was trialing for, and that was basically my whole OS journey until 2020, I think 2021. Not sure. I'm really bad with time. I swear I've been playing this game for way too long. But after that, I joined Fury, and Fury is probably the best I ever played. I was definitely the best player in my career was during Fury, because in terms where I ranked compared to everyone else globally, I think I played really well in Fury. And then after Fury, I went to PGC Korea. I was really good friends with the American guys, especially the Oath, and then Oath were looking at replacing Veilfrost with a different player, and I just kind of slotted right in because I was really good friends with everyone. So, I mean, it doesn't actually sound that complicated. I had everything kind of lined up perfectly, but I worked really hard. I think I put a lot of hours in at the beginning, not as much near the end, but at the beginning when I was playing OS and I was really bad, I'd scrim 3 times a day. I would completely no life the game. I think that's what you kind of need to do to get really, really good at this game as well. It's such an experience-based game. You need to just learn just by playing. That's really the only way to do it.
And see that time that you were on Fury, if I'm not wrong, that was the roster, right? It was you, Ronan, Cow, and Insight, right? Was there?
Yeah, that was the roster.
Yeah, was there ever any disappointment that you guys didn't achieve more? Because when you think about it, apart from, you know, Tig, that was the big names in the OCE region. So were you guys disappointed that you didn't achieve more, or do you feel like it was just a stepping stone to get to where you are today?
No, I was actually reminiscing about my Fury days. I think the team was actually really, really good. I think we worked as a unit, and I think the best teams nowadays are just the teams that have the best teamwork, because everyone's mechanics are pretty similar. No one's really that much better than everyone else. Maybe 1 or 2 players. But yeah, I missed that team, and I think we could have achieved a lot. I do think we probably all think we could have done a little better, especially in APAC. I think we could have won pretty much every APAC event with the talent we had. But we just fell short. We had small mistakes which led to big losses. But no, we definitely could have done better. I think our biggest downfall was PGC finals in Korea. I think we were playing really well. I think we could have been a top 8 team for sure. We played that whole event, well, most of that event, like a top 8 team. and then we just kind of shit ourselves. To be honest, we had some calling disputes, which pretty much every team has. To be honest, when you get to the higher level events, because like sometimes someone's calling style works in a different region and then it doesn't work in the big one. Like it's complicated with calling. Like everyone's styles can get mixed and matched and stuff. But yeah, I do think that roster could have done more. I think we probably all wanted it to do more, but at the same time, like I'm really proud of what we achieved. I think playing in OST is like really tricky because like it's really difficult to improve in OST because the talent pool is so weak outside of like one or two teams, and even those one or two teams like just get absolutely dumpstered. Like they come 15th or 16th every international. So it's like it's really hard to improve. So I'm pretty proud that we managed to be like a top 5, top 4, maybe even top 3 team in APAC for like a whole year. And the boys were good without me too. Like don't get me wrong, before I joined they were really good. But I do think we could have done probably more with the amount of talent we had on our team, but I guess it is what it is. We played well, but we could have done a little more. I think every team would say that about themselves.
Yeah, there's a couple of points you brought up there that I want to touch on. And the first one is, calls and international events. So anybody who follows the scene knows that every single region has its own distinct play style. Even North America has a different style of play than South America, yet they're still the same region when it comes to qualification for major events. Asia is completely different, and even then, there's teams in Asia in specific regions that play different than what the rest of the teams in those regions play. So when it comes to international events, how much pressure or how much time is dedicated to studying how these teams make their calls, what they do? Because I know that Trevor had a big chat about how prepared you guys were for Vikendi going into PGC, but just knowing that necessarily what works in America or works in OCE isn't going to work in international events. How do you prepare for that?
Gosh, it's kind of tricky because I honestly haven't really like every team I've been in hasn't really like hyper studied for any event except for we spent a lot of time on Tego and Vinkendi last event like for the global championship. But yeah, like the styles honestly don't really matter. I think any style can work in any lobby. I think you just need to identify when like there's too many teams who share a style to you. That's when it actually is important. So I think knowing basically how many teams share a type of style as you, because if you're in a lobby with like 12 teams who are just like absolute edgelords and they just want to sit on edge and control space, and then the center is just dead, like it's always open, so all these spots you can send to are just going to be free every time. So it's really about just like understanding what the lobby composition is, because knowing like each individual team's playstyle doesn't really matter. Like you go, oh my gosh, like this team's an edge team, it doesn't really matter. There's 14 other teams you need to worry about. So it's more about like the whole lobby, not necessarily just one team. But I honestly don't think like you need to adjust that much unless you know that there's lots of teams who are doing the same type of stuff you are doing. But if not, you just have to make a small change. It's not rocket science really. It's really just if there's too many people doing what you're doing, you need to do something else.
It's funny that you say about teams playing the edge, because from watching Luminosity, from casting scrims, from casting the few events that I've been able to cast that you guys are taking part in, and even watching officials, you guys are the team to me in America that likes to get the really good position center zone and you work your way out, whereas a lot of teams try to work their way in. And it kind of led to the EU Rats, LG Rats, because you guys had a great position and teams would feed you kills because your positioning was that good that everyone else was like, panic, where do we go from here? And then other teams like Sonics, or at the time you had Friendly Fire before they became the new Friendly Fire, they like to play the edge of the zone and constantly getting gunfights the whole way through. It's bound to be a lot easier to play the game you do, right? Where you get that good compound, phase 2, phase 3, rather than just constantly ruining your armor, ruining your vests, getting into that horrible position where you need to work your way in.
Yeah, I think it's just like each team has a different idea on how to play. I think with how good everyone's getting, I think taking a 4v4 edge fight is almost impossible to do cleanly, like super cleanly, without like losing time, ammo, meds. Like you might lose one maybe. And I think the teams that just keep 4 up, the teams that win the game, like it's very rare you'll see a team win the game as like a duo, like unless they do some absolutely wild stuff. But usually it's the teams that are 4 will just steamroll teams late game. And like if people say like just keep 4 up, it's because having 4 players is so beneficial. So I mean like sure it's like a rat style, but I don't really think it's a rat style. I think it's more of like an intelligent play style. Like you want to maximize like your points, and I do think that's where we could be better, maybe, is being a little bit more aggressive at certain times. But like maximizing points is basically the name of the game. If you aim to win every game and try and get in good spots to win every game, like a win is 10 points. Like, so I think we just really try to win every game, and sometimes that's not actually good, but it usually results in consistency, and I think consistency is like the staple of PUBG. You always want to be consistent.
Do you feel like the changes that have been made to the game are leading to people maybe being a little bit more aggressive? You know, with the addition of obviously the blue zone nades came in last year. You have the mortar strikes coming in, so there's more ways now than ever to move a team out of a position. You know, blue zone nades are almost like a better Molotov where you just throw it and you know that the players are going to have to sprint outside of it. You've seen at PGC and you've seen at other events mortar strikes being used to clear players from positions where you can't really get close enough to throw a nade, but if you've got your skill level high enough, you can hit it perfectly. Do you feel like that's the case where it is trying to make people play more aggressive?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's not necessarily trying to make people play more aggressive, but it's trying to make people play less passive.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the mortars are really, really good, but they're also really bad in the sense that it's like if reduce the amount of playable spots. Like if a team has a mortar and they actually know how to use it, there's like some parts of the map that just completely like you just die if you go there, and I don't really think that's that good because using a mortar you don't have to sacrifice anything with the cars. Like you just put a mortar in the car, you whack it down, you kill someone. You don't have to sacrifice anything. But I don't necessarily think the changes are making teams like more aggressive. I just think that they're making teams less passive. Like you can't descend to a shack and just be like, all right, we'll just chill in here. Because if someone just runs up to you and throws 2 blue zone grenades, like your entire team's pretty much dead. Same with like these tiny bowls that like don't exist, and players want a 3-man bowl that just doesn't exist. You'll just get mortared and then you die. So I think I really like the changes, to be honest. Like the blue zones I feel are really balanced because you need 2 for them to be effective. Like you can just heal through a blue zone. Like you can be in a shack, someone throws a blue zone at you, you just start healing. Like you're not gonna die. But that's where like the mechanics and like skill of throwing 2 and like maybe comboing it with a teammate. So I really like the blue zones. I think they add a lot of skill to the game. And then mortars too. Like you have to calculate exactly pretty much where to shoot it, and not many players are really good at it, but it's a real skill to have.
I will say I do like the fact that they are being used like better Molotovs too, like teams using the blue zone nade just to feed a player into an angle where your teammate can get the kill. We've seen it a few times in PGC. But the other point that you spoke about when you were speaking about Fury that I want to talk about is the OCE region, right? So there's a couple of really good players in OCE, and a lot of them, apart from 1 or 2, have switched to different regions. And that's not just the case in PUBG. A lot of games that has happened. It's happened in Siege a few times. I know it's happened in CS and other titles. Why do you think it's so difficult to make a career in esports playing in the OCE region? Because it's not a population issue. Like Australia has, high density, a lot of population. You've got New Zealand in the mix as well. Why do you think esports just hasn't quite been done right in OCE yet?
I really know. I feel like there's just not enough people actually like playing the game. Like while you have a high population, sure, we're not even that high. Like when you think about it, like 25 mil isn't like really that many people compared to other places. But I don't know. I feel like not many people play it. I think orgs, especially OS orgs, are kind of stingy, to be honest. I think there's only like a few ones who are like actually doing good. I think Bliss is doing a really good job. But back when I played, like some of the OS orgs were kind of disgusting, to be honest. Like they are not snitches, sorry, they are like rats. They literally try and just steal money off you. I won't name the orgs, but there were some big ones that like are really stingy. Like, oh yeah, we'll give you literally no money, but we'll take half your prize pool. How does that sound? And we're like, what the fuck? And they're like, oh yeah, you just get to represent us. Like, isn't that cool? I'm like, no. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm here to play. But I think it's hard to make a living in OS as a esports player because the salaries are just god awful, and it's not their fault. It's not the org's fault. Like there's no real money in esports in OS, and I think that's just because we're pretty far behind the rest of the world in terms of how many people actually play esports. Like we have a lot of kids who play games, but you need people who are involved in like supporting and like involved in the competitive scene in order for the salaries and everything to go up. So I definitely think, to answer your question, like why do you think it's hard in OS, it's just because there's not enough people. Like the player bases are really small, and like it's hard to like not. You have to have a part-time job if you really like, as if you're an adult. Like I was a kid, so I still am pretty much a kid, so I can just no life the game for 12 hours a day if I wanted to. But like if you have to work and you have to pay bills, like you have to have a part-time job. Like playing games won't pay anything like until you're like actually top 1%.
And it's made even more difficult then when you think about the fact that OCE's had spots removed. It's more difficult than ever now with the way the structure of PUBG is for a team from OCE to qualify for these major international events. So it's just a sad thing to see. I will say that at least I think Siege has made some good steps. Siege has actually defined OCE as its own separate region now, and they've given it a spot to the major events, which I think will help. But again, you know better than I. It'll take time because you got to get the competition for players in. You got to get you kind of got to adjust to be the best team in the region, because one spot is nearly as bad as zero, because if there's one team that's a lot better than everybody else, every other team is just kind of just competing but not actually getting anything for it. But again, I'd like to see OCE do well, because I know that even when you watch scrims or when you watch every event, there's a lot of OCE fans that stay up, or get up early to watch you guys compete. You think about some of the names in chat that are there every single night whenever there's players taking part. So the move to NA. First off, are you living in NA now, or do you still live in OCE?
No, I still live in Australia.
So this is where things get a little bit complicated, I guess, with competing in America, because in the start of the regional qualifiers, you're obviously a little bit disadvantaged, right? There's you and a couple of players who are playing with a higher ping than everybody else. And then when you get to the regional finals, South America join in. How difficult is it to play in a lobby where, you'll be on a ping that's in the hundreds and you're fighting against someone else whose ping's in the hundreds as well? Because I know that the South American players have the same disadvantage. Does that make things even more difficult, for you as a player?
I mean, there's definitely moments. I think I've played on ping for so long that like even with Fury, I played on like 110, like 100. Like I've played on ping for so long that the only thing I actually like notice now is like the looting. Like I get furious at looting. I have to pick things like 2 or 3 times. Like I have to pick them up 2 or 3 times, and it drives me bonkers sometimes. But like as far as like getting desync, like I really don't notice it that much. Like there'll be a few occasions where like I get seriously desync, but at the end of the day, I'm the one with the ping. Like that's the sacrifice I have to make. I definitely actually feel like I get to desync more people. Like I've knocked people and gone like, damn, they're mad. Like I know they're mad. More than I've had that happen to me. And I think that's just because I've played on ping for so long that like I kind of know how to like utilize its strengths and like minimize its weaknesses. But like I definitely feel for people who play on ping, because like it really frustrates me sometimes, and it makes it hard for me to play like how I want to play. Like I can't, like one of the funniest things about ping is like seat swapping is near impossible. Like if I need to get from the left side of my car to the right side of my car, I'm basically just gonna die. Like it takes 3 seconds to do that. So there's definitely a lot of mechanics that I just can't do, or like if I try to do, I just look like the biggest dumbass. Like I've tried seat swapping and like a quick seat swap, and I just sit in the passenger seat for 2 seconds, and my team's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "I'm pressing the button, it's not doing anything." So it definitely limits what you can do, but I don't think it's like a determining factor. I don't think that me having 200 ping means that I'm just instantly gonna suck and instantly it's gonna be really rough. Because like I've definitely done really well in NA, in the regionals, and it's not like ping isn't that bad. Like I don't know how PUBG manages to do it, because I feel like every other game, if you have 200 ping, it's almost unplayable. But PUBG doesn't feel that bad with high ping, other than the looting and like the occasional really bad desync. So for me personally, it doesn't really matter, but I know if you're not experienced with it, it really sucks. Like I know a lot of people who will ask me how do I play on ping, and I'm like, dude, you just got to be quick. Like you just got to utilize what's your strengths. Like you need to peak them. Like if someone peaks you, you're probably gonna die like 100%. So you just kind of have to utilize the strengths and try and mitigate the weaknesses.
And is there an adjustment period whenever you go to these international events and you're playing on LAN? Like, are you like, wow, this is so much better for that, 2 or 3 weeks you're out there?
Yeah, it's actually really funny because when I track cars, like it's actually different on ping. So for some reason, I'm like actually well because I've played for so long, I'm actually cracked at like shooting people out of cars on ping, but it's actually a lot harder for me on low ping to do it just because I'm not used to it. Like I just like naturally lead a little further than I really should be. So when I play on ping, on a no ping, I kind of miss a bit more, which is kind of funny to me. But I mean, I notice the ping instantly. Like it's something like when I pick up something on the ground, it goes in my inventory straight away. It's just it makes my movement clean. I think the only difference is my movement gets a lot better when I'm on low ping because you just kind of have to play like a bot. You really do have to just like look at the item you're picking up, grab it, and then make sure it goes in your inventory. You can't just like grab something and then spin around to the right and then grab something else. Like you need to make sure you pick up the item because if you pick up a helmet, you need to make sure you pick up a helmet because I've done this multiple times in hot drops. Since I've been back home, I play NA pubs to get used to it. It's like I'll pick up a helmet, I'll grab a gun and I'll run at someone, and then I'll get one tap and I'll be like, "Where did my helmet go?" And I never picked it up. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So
We just say it's a skill issue and move on. Sometimes this.
yeah, I guess it's just a skill issue. That's my bad.
But speaking about that, then, have you ever considered moving to NA permanently to compete there, or is it just a case where esports is such a volatile career for a player that maybe you're worried that moving might be the wrong thing for you?
Honestly, like moving is just, in my opinion, like a really bad financial decision unless you are like super successful outside of PUBG. And what I mean by that is like Tig moving from Australia to America was a fantastic idea purely from his content. Like he makes a like definitely livable wage easily from the content he does, and like I definitely regret not doing more content to begin with. Maybe I could have moved to America, but like it costs a lot of money to transfer from Australia to America and live there, and you have to get a visa and like you have to get a place, internet. Like there's just heaps of stuff that goes into it, right? And like the salaries aren't really that high at all. Like I would be losing money out of my savings every single month, and I would be draining it like if I move. So for me, it's more of like a financial issue. Like I would move to America and play from America because I'd love to play on 10 ping. Like that'd be awesome. But at the same time, like, am I really willing to spend like $20,000 to $30,000 to live there for a year? And the answer is like, no, not really. I'm happy to loot things 2 or 3 times if I have to save 30k.
That's
Like, me being in America isn't going to make me 30k.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like there's not that many times in tournaments where I'm like, oh my gosh, me dying there because of ping just cost my team $30,000. Like it rarely happens because all the big money is in the internationals, which I'm on 0 ping, so it doesn't really matter.
And do you feel like you missed the boat on the content creation? Like, do you feel like it's too late to start because you brought that up at one point in that statement?
I mean, I'm gonna try and start. I think like because I play on ping, like my play style and like how I play is like pretty slow. Like I'm pretty slow and like patient, and I'm not really like a flashy player. Like I wouldn't find myself entertaining because I just take it slow. I don't really rush. I don't do anything too flashy. I just do the basics well. But I think I'm gonna try and move into more like educational content. I did a lot of VOD reviews, and I think a lot of people like them. So I think I'm gonna go more into like an educational route to content. But yeah, I definitely do regret not streaming as much. But at the same time, I don't think like I have like that amazing like content personality that like people like Tig and like those type of people have. So I mean, I definitely regret it. You kind of have to start early. I think starting now is you're just behind the curve, and viewers usually have like their preferences. Like you'll have the people who like Shrimsy, you'll have people who like Simply Matt, you'll have the people who like Tig, like then you have all the Choco Taco and like Wacky Jackie viewer. Like it's a bit it's late to start. You know, there's I probably will still try, but it's definitely it's too late to like make a full living out of it, I think.
Yeah. On one hand, you're telling me you're not exciting to watch, but on the other hand, I've seen you many a time pop off. There's a reason why casters say open the floodgates whenever, whenever you're of one of those games. But No, I've always enjoyed watching you play. Like, I think to me as a caster, just seeing the way pro players play situations compared to how regular players play them or how I would play them, it's always an interesting watch because you can just see there's more than one thing going through your mind whenever you're involved in these engagements. So the next topic I want to talk about is coaching, right? So every single year, and it's different times of year, but I guarantee every year there's a post on Reddit where Redditor number 5 says, I can understand coaches in CS, I can understand coaches in Siege. Why are there coaches in PUBG? But as a caster, having spoke to people like Trevor, having spoke to, Gunnar, it seems to me there's a lot of value in coaching in PUBG. I want to know what it's been like working with Trevor and what he and you have done together to kind of improve your game.
Yeah, so for me, like I've had a few really bad coaches and I've had a few like really good ones. I think coaches in PUBG are like really different to other games. I think in other games, coaches actually have a lot more impact and like input on like how the game is played, right? And I don't think that's the case in PUBG, but I think PUBG requires a lot more mental fortitude. So I think that's where like the benefit of a coach comes into. So while like when I first started with Trevor, like I'll be pretty honest because like I've told Trevor before, like when I first joined the team, like Trevor didn't really do. Oh shit! Did it crash? Oh no, man.
No,
Sorry, my screen just froze. My screen froze for a second. Trevor really didn't do that much at the beginning. Like I think he just chugged along. He just did what people asked him to do, right? And I don't blame him. Like if someone asks you to do something, you do it. That's kind of what you're supposed to do. But I think the difference that we had is we just like talk a lot as a team. Like what do we actually want? And I think Trevor adds a lot of value because he's really good at communicating with individuals. So he's really good at getting like the best out of everyone in terms of like what they actually meant to say. And that's really important for us because we have Snakers and he's probably the worst communicator I've ever witnessed in my entire life. So I like to think of Trevor as Snaker's babysitter. And that's how I thought of him in 2022. But in 2023, Trevor actually like started doing a lot more research and helping out in like actually more beneficial ways than just being a babysitter. So I think Trevor's actually improved a lot over time. Like I definitely didn't think he was a fantastic coach when I first joined, but I definitely have a lot more respect for him now, and I really respect him now more than ever because he's put a lot of work in. Like he put a lot of work into the Tego and Vinkendi, and he put like I respect it. He did more than pretty much anyone else. Like he looked through every inch and crevice of Vinkendi and every inch and crevice of Tego. And I think that's what a coach is supposed to do. There's some things that just really time consuming. And having a coach help you with that is really nice. But at the same time, there's two schools of thought in coaching. There's the mental coach and the coach who tries to help you with macro. And I think the coaches that focus on mental fortitude usually do a lot better because that's just the hardest part of PUBG is being able to reset and stay calm, and having a good coach who can ground everyone and make sure everyone's on the right track is really important. I think Trev's done a really good job of that.
I think it's good that you brought up the fact that he won you over because I think it's kind of the coach's job to win the players over rather than the player's job to win the coach over. So I like that.
Yeah.
Yes, they're now in a really good place. Again, I think there are a couple of very, very good coaches out there. I had an interview recently with a Siege coach called Callout, who's SSG's coach in NA, and he describes himself as a mental coach. Like on game day, he's like, there's nothing I can do on game day as far as getting these players any more prepared on a decision making or strat standpoint. So it's all about getting them into the right mental frame, getting their heart rates nice and lowered, getting them calmed and focused. And even just from being a competitor myself in regular sports, having a manager who can just get you in a good mental position to play a game is always a lot more beneficial than the coach who's like throwing 500 different things at you once about what to do in this situation and what to do in that situation. So
yeah,
is there anything you do before an event that you like to do to get yourself into the right space to play? Like, do you have some players do breathing exercises, some players chug 3 Red Bulls and eat as much sugar as they can? Like, what does pre-game look like for Fludd?
Oh gosh, I think I like doing exercise in the morning. Honestly, when I wake up, I like sleeping in. I like waking up when I want to wake up. So I think getting a good night's sleep is really important. But for some reason, I love swimming before like games. Like I will jump in the pool and just honestly, it sounds crazy, but I'll just hold my breath in the pool and like try and drown myself almost. Not actually, but I like the feeling of holding my breath, and I'll just do that to calm myself, and I'll just float around the water, and then I'll get out. I'll have some food. I usually won't slam too many carbs. I learned that from Kickstart. Don't overload on carbs before games. That was a good advice from him. I've followed that to a T since he said that in like 2021 or something. But my pregame is really I usually have caffeine about 40 minutes before the game starts. Maybe 45 to an hour before the game starts, and then I'll just have some chewing gum. Like I really like chewing gum. I feel like it calms me down a lot. So that's like one of my not really secrets. Like I still have a high heart rate all the time, but I definitely feel a lot calmer when I'm just chewing gum, and it gets me really like focused. And then usually after game 3, I'll probably just have another drink, an energy drink, or like just any form of caffeine, and that'll be it. I really don't do anything special. I just wake up, I exercise, I have some caffeine, I eat a good meal. Usually, hopefully it's good. Sometimes not. At a PGC, I was having a bit too much fried chicken, but can't blame me. But then I'll just have some caffeine. I'll warm up for 2-3 hours, and then I'll play and chew gum. That's really it. I really don't do that much. That's crazy. I don't even really listen to music that often.
Yeah. Well, you and I worked the same event, but different titles. So we both worked Gamers 8, and it's very difficult to behave yourself at Gamers 8 when you see the spread of food that those guys put out for you as well. Like you were talking about fried chicken at PGC. At Gamers 8, it was like, wow, I could have steak 5 times a day if I want it. It was a tough one, but the points that you were bringing up again, the getting into the pool, holding your breath, it's all stuff that will lower your heart rate and kind of lower those stress levels. So it does make a lot of sense. When you look back at these events, though, does it ever surprise you when you see the heart rates of players during these games? Because a lot of the time, the resting heart rate for most players is still, high 90s, low hundreds. Like at times you're seeing heart rates jump from 100 to like 200 in the blink of an eye. Like, is it really that stressful all the time whenever you're competing?
I don't know. I feel like I definitely agree. Like, there's been times where I like witness someone just like sitting in a compound and looting, and they're like 140. I'm like, what are you panicking about? Like, what's going on? But like, I've been there. Like, when you see the zone pop, like you need to think. And if you're not in zone, you're kind of stressed. You're like, oh shit, what do I have to do? Like, so I definitely understand why people have high heart rates, and I definitely am the same. I think I usually sit around 120. I think I'm pretty consistent though. I kind of stay the same the whole time. I think I usually go from like 100 to 140, but it's usually just sitting at 120 at like 80% of the game. So I mean, like, no matter what you do, you're still gonna have a high heart rate. Like, it's exhilarating. Like playing competitive PUBG is like it's like nothing else. So it's really just about managing that stress and that high heart rate in the moment, because you can have 140 and still play phenomenal. It's more of just you want to make sure that you're making calm decisions. So sometimes I think it's as much as it's your high heart rate, like if you can make calm decisions in your brain, then that doesn't really matter how high your heart rate could be.
And then talking about decision making, just before PGC, there was a roster change. So obviously you guys lost Kick, who was, let's be honest, he was performing on a micro level at a very, very high level for the last 12 months. Like, I think mechanically him and Shrooms, well, from what I saw, him and Shrooms were playing, were like two of the best.
I'm just trying.
Yeah, we're playing
Yeah,
really well.
I think he definitely didn't perform that well in 2023. Like, I think Jake actually was crazy in 2023. Like, he didn't top rank a single event in 2023, but 2022 Kickstarter was a different beast. Like, I would tweet out after every event thanks to the carry, because he'd just shit on everyone. Like, he seriously is definitely like top 3 NA in like actual Americans. Yeah. Like, he's probably like the second best actual American, Yeah. So like, I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a great like micro player. So yeah, I definitely agree. He's really, really good. I'd like just fragging. Like, he's a beast, dude. He's really, really good.
Yeah. So you lost him, but I like to say it was kind of a good, even though it wasn't essentially a trade, it was like a trade that I think suited both parties. You guys got Mime, who's a very different player, but really, really big brain when it comes to the game. Like, there's a reason why Sonics had a lot of success when it came to the way they played. What I want to first off, I want to know what it's like playing with Mime, and then secondly, I want to know, do you feel like had you had more prep time with Mime on the team, would you have performed even better in PGC?
Honestly, having Mime, like, I was a little skeptical at first because obviously I'm like really good friends with Sonics and like pretty much everyone on Sonics, and like you hear general like things about a different player, and you don't know whether to trust them or just ignore them. But when Mime first came on the team, I was like genuinely shocked. Like this guy was the ultimate Giga Chad. Like this guy was crazy. Like I think it was the second set of scrims. He was saying like, "I'm gonna get in this glider. I'm gonna jump off the back with the Panzer. I'm gonna blow them up. Then you guys are gonna breach." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? That is crazy." But he's just so creative that it's kind of like it's really good for our team because we have like two players who think really similar. I think Jake and Rello think about the game really similar. I think about it pretty similar, but I'm more of like the opposite. I'm more of an edge player. I've always played on like edge teams like Fury and Bay. So I played on really like edge heavy teams. So I kind of just listen most of the time. I'll just give like some suggestions that I think are good. But this Mime guy, he's really well rounded. He just knows how to win the game. Like he just has like this gut feeling where he's like, I just know how the game's gonna play out. Just listen to me, and then he'll be right like 9 out of 10 times. You'll be like, "Wow, that sounded ridiculous. Like, how are you right?" Like, the amount of times that Mime said something, and I'm like, "That's not how the game's gonna play out," and it's exactly how the game played out. I'm like, "How did you know? Like, that's weird. Like, you're cheating or something." But yeah. As far as your other question, dude, I seriously think if we had like another few months, like I think we would have come top three, top four. Honestly, like the amount of mistakes we made purely because of hesitation and like not listening to each other was just insane. Like I seriously double digits at least at PGC. Like I think we had so many games that were just completely chaotic and 0 pointers because we just ignored one tiny thing. And if we did that one tiny thing, it would be in like a 10 point game. So I mean, we left so much on the table. Like we seriously left so much. Like we were kind of almost like shook with how not how easy, like obviously the teams were phenomenal, but like how much we left on the plate. Like we were like, wow, this should have been a 10 point game. Wow, this should have been a 12 point game. Wow, this should have been like a 7 point game. There was just so many games like that where we were one decision off being like actually insane, and we just weren't great at doing everything without hesitation. I think there was a lot of examples where like Mime would do too much, or like we wouldn't listen to him, and because of that we'd kind of like bait him. And then there was also times where like we just needed to do something with zero hesitation, and like Mime doesn't hesitate. He's literally a machine. But like everyone else on our team, we're all like very like passive. I'd say passive. Most of us are pretty passive. Like we don't really want to fight unless we have to, and like it definitely cost us in a lot of games. And so I think if we had more prep time, we might have done better. Who knows? But I think with the mistakes we actually made at PGC, if and it's such an easy mistake to fix, right? It's literally so it's like of the mistakes you can have, it's one of the easier ones to fix. So I mean, I think we could have done better. We were pretty disappointed with eighth. I think we were playing like a top five team the whole event. Like we came fourth, fifth. I think we should have came fifth or fourth again. But yeah, I mean, I think we could have been up there with the big three, like the Danawa 17 Twisted. I think we could have been there if we played better.
It is a game of fine margins, though. Like a lot of people watching, when you get to that final lobby, being real, there's not really a bad team. Everyone's fought their way to get there, and if you make any mistake whatsoever, you're going to get punished. And even for you guys, like you knew Vikendi better than anybody else. Like openly, you knew the topography of the map. You knew exactly how to play the bear caves whenever they were done. But I want to speak about one moment, right? You guys knew the bear caves better than anybody else. You knew Vikendi better than anybody else. I want to know what the comms were like the second. Was it Rello? Wasn't it Rello died to a bear? Was it just like, oh, for fuck's sake? Like,
oh no, it was me. I didn't die to the bear, but so bears like respawn, right?
Yeah.
And this bear spawned on top of me. Like genuinely, like it spawned on my butt, and I was like, oh my god. I turned around and I heard it roar, and I just dumped my clip into it. And Jake was at the front of the bear cave, like Snake is at the front of the bear cave, and I told Jake, like, Jake, turn it. Like, I think it actually wasn't me, it was Mime or someone. Mime said, like, turn around, kill the fucking bear, kill the bear. And I'm sitting there, I was actually squealing, like it was almost like a horror game. I'm like squealing, going like, help me, help me. I'm squealing, like Rello's shooting it, Jake's shooting it. I'm running away with my hands out. But it did so much because they killed the bear, right? And I got to throw 2 grenades at the front door, which stalled QM's push and actually did like not that much damage. It did like 20 or 30 to a few people. But like killing that bear actually kind of helped us a lot. But it looked really stupid on Jake's POV. Like he's getting pulled up by 4 people and he just turns around, starts shooting a bear. Like I'm screaming at the top of my lungs to help me because a bear just spawned on top of me, and I've already dumped my full 40 mag barrel clip into it. So yeah, the comms were definitely, we were screaming. Like we knew the bear spawn timers, we knew where they spawned. We we were aware of like the aggro ranges and whatnot, but because it spawned in that location, right when we in middle of a fight, it was crazy. Like we know whenever we pull up in that cave, we have to like there's like a 20% chance we have to instantly kill a bear, and that's fine. But the fact that it spawned on me, I probably had a 170 heart rate. Like I definitely shit myself. It actually jump scared me. Like it genuinely spawned on top of me, and I had maybe 3 seconds to react, and it was terrifying.
That reaction makes me want that clip to come out even more. Like if anyone from Crafton is watching, please release that comm for that, just that 20 seconds. Another event at PGC that I want to touch on, but I know we got to be very careful with how we touch on the subject, is the question mark one, right? So I don't want you to get in trouble. I just want to know from a player's perspective, what did you feel about that whole scenario?
Oh, I mean, I feel for them, man. Like, I had so many issues at like every event we've been to this year. Like, I've had the most scuffed issues ever. Like, we had actually like an audio issue like every day at PGC. Like, it was so bad. We actually had the craziest thing happen. We had someone grief us, like actually intentionally grief us. They set up hotkeys on our TeamSpeaks. So when Mime pressed W, it would actually deafen him. And this guy didn't come to warm up one day, so he didn't play the scrim. So game 1, we were in absolute shambles. I think it was winners bracket or something. We were absolute shambles because I don't know who it was, and we reported them to PUBG, but someone had come on our PCs and set up keybinds to toggle deafen on multiple PCs. I had it as well. They put it on comma or something for me, so I never pressed that button, but like it was disgusting. But anyway, back to QM. Yeah. I feel for them, man. Like I think it's ridiculous. Like all 4 players disconnecting is really bad. Like it's really, really bad. And I think just saying bad luck is not the right way to go about it. I do have controversial opinions on why they didn't do that, but I won't get into that because I want my Twitter DMs to be nice and I don't want death threats.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to comment on too much, but I definitely feel for the guys. I think that they are a really good team. I think they're definitely a top 8 team in the world if they play well. So I feel for them. They didn't get their chance and they deserve the chance. I think they would have qualified if that didn't happen. So I really feel bad for them. I think it's like difficult to speak out against PUBG Corp in those times because look, we want to make finals. We don't want to get in trouble. And like we don't like we kind of need the financial support. So we don't want to fuck with PUBG at all. So we if they make a decision, you just got to stand by it. Like you got to show your sympathies for them in person. I didn't get to see any of them, but like I definitely feel for them. They didn't deserve it at all.
Yeah, no, like I think your answer is pretty much what I wanted. Like again, I don't want the whole point of these is to get to know you and your feelings, not to get anybody in trouble. So I think I'm pretty happy with what you said about that scenario. Like as a caster, your heart's just got to go out to them. You work your whole year. Like PGC, you have to work for the whole year to get to it, and then to have that happen, it's just got to be heartbreaking. So
yeah, especially for them as well, because they actually have to play through opens every time. That's why I genuinely think they're like seriously one of the best teams in the world. Because to go through opens in Europe is like actually really tricky. Because like there's limited slots. It's like best of 5s or 6s or 4s. I don't know. but like they have made it every single time, and they've proven themselves to be like fantastic. So the fact that they have to do all this hard work through the entire year just for it to be ruined by one game and have no compensation is pretty brutal.
And there's hundreds of teams. Like in Europe, it's nuts. Like there's a league that I work in Europe called Good Game League, which is just Norway. Which Norway is not a large
Mm-hmm.
country, and the rule is that 3/4 of the team have to be from Norway, and
Mm-hmm.
they've got well over 100 teams just in Norway
Mm.
alone. It's nuts, and they play every Wednesday night in a league without fail. Like it's crazy. So to get through that gauntlet in Europe is really tough because, like you said, if you have an off day, it's over. You're
Yeah.
kind of you're not making an event, and now we're in that really weird zone where it's the PGC is just over. It's the roster shuffles. We're seeing a lot of moves. Again, we can't talk about some moves here because they're not publicly announced yet. But if you watch scrims, you're going to know who's gone to who, and
Mm-hmm.
you
I think
know
most of them are announced.
Yeah, I think that maybe there's one or two stragglers still, but again, if you're watching scrims, which do get broadcast, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what the teams are looking like. Are
Mm-hmm.
are there any teams that you have circled in NA or other that you think could be a lot better next year? Because again, I think in North America it has been Luminosity and Sonics, or United and Sonics, for so long. SSG have started to make that push. I think Page and Pixel have really complemented that team pretty well. But when you look down, like, do you think STK are going to be better next year? Do you think that some of the other rosters are going to make a bit of a push?
Yeah, I mean, I think if the NA roster change is really interesting. Like, I think FF are going to get weaker no matter what. I think Sharp was a really, really experienced player, and he's really good. And they have to get an American, right? They have to get an American player to keep their 2-2 split. And I don't think there's that many people who would really like gel with that team. As far as like the good ones, I think SDK they kind of sucked, man. They actually were pretty bad, and they were one of the teams that I never understood why they were doing bad because they definitely had extremely experienced players, and they knew what they were doing, but I don't know what happened. They just sucked. So I think their roster change is like really good. I'm really good friends with Luke and Sparking, and I think they're both phenomenal players. I think Sparking is seriously so fucking mechanically good. It's crazy. So I think that team's gonna be really difficult to team fight now. Other than the Boomer, like it's just like one 40-year-old man like leading three players who are just phenomenal at the game. Like Alo's a close quarters beast. Like so it's really just the 40-year-old and his three minions, but his minions are really good now. So I think SDK are going to be really good. I think they could definitely sneak into top 3 or even top 2 if they have a good day and get the ball rolling.
Have you just decided that people are going to call Kurt Grew from now on? Like, is that what's just?
Well, I'm friends with Purdy.
Yeah,
I definitely like messing with him. Like I kind of add a few like years every time I talk about him. So
yeah.
like now this is the second time I have to bring his name up. So now he is 45. I just like kind of messing with him because he definitely plays like he's like 50. Like don't get me wrong. So,
Mm-hmm.
but like that's just what it is. He's just a 55-year-old guy. Just
I love him. I actually, even though he is 60 years old, I do love Kurt. Like he's got a good arm on him when it comes to nades for a 65-year-old, right?
dude, yeah, like at 70 throwing like that is crazy.
I'd say that's the only throwing he'll be doing in 2024, though. At 75, like
He did a lot of that in 2022 when he was 2023 when he was 80. So
yeah.
hopefully he doesn't do anymore.
Oh God, look, we love him. We love the guy, but yeah, and the thing is though, right, with NA, I think NA is better than it was last year, right? It's simple as you look at the international performances. You've got Sonics won an event this year. You guys have
Mm.
performed better. I think that you look at the teams in South America. I think I don't know whether it's because they've decided to put all their best players on one or two teams instead
Mhm.
of mixing them around. But South America's performed a lot better. Falcons had a lot of success, or Fumba, as most people will know them as. You know, I think the big surprise to me was that we didn't see more of Gizera, because to me Gizera's crazy. He's that type of sparking, absolutely mechanical god, and he's so young too that he's got a lot big future ahead of him. But a little bit disappointed in that standpoint. But
Yeah, I think that just kind of happens though, because like when you think about it, when Gazera really like came to, I guess, popularity, right? He was playing on 22, right? Like he wasn't playing on Legacy, and I think just in general, when you have a team around you which you are seriously mechanically by them, like but better than them by a lot, like you are just gonna like shine statistically, right? So I think him going to Legacy, he just didn't shine as much because like everyone on that team's like good. Like they have a really good team. So I mean, it's not necessarily that you didn't do much. I think it's when you have better players around you, it's harder to like have that, oh my god, this guy is absolutely insane like type of stats, because everyone on the team is getting kills, and it's not like you're just running in and 1v4ing everyone. It's a team effort, you know.
so with that and with the success that NA's had, do you think that NA's done enough to get an extra spot for international events? Like, do you feel that A, you've done enough, and B, it would actually really help the region if there was another spot for international events?
Dude, I don't know. I think we did enough. Like, I think both PGCs we've come like fourth and eighth, and like honestly, we kind of trolled, so we should have gone like sixth or something. I just think like everyone else is kind of shit in the bed like at these big finals, and I don't think they should. Like these teams are good. Like we have some really good teams. Like I think Sonics is like seriously a really really good team now, and like once they figure out how to play with kick and like get their like macro in check and like understand how kick likes playing, I think they'll be really good too. I think FF has potential. I just think they're a really hot and cold team, and like they don't choose obviously, but they were just cold during the finals. But I don't think we deserve. I don't know if we deserve another spot. I feel like we should have one. I feel like slots distribution is so weird. Like I won't say the regions, but I think there is certain wasted slots, and I think PUBG were really sneaky with how they did their slot distribution this year. They removed. They said they removed some from Asia or something, and then gave more to APAC. But they actually just put Japan and Chinese Taipei into APAC, which I thought was really, really sneaky, because that actually removed slots from APAC and actually allowed more Chinese teams and Korean teams to go. But I don't blame them, man. Like it's like giving OS its own slot. Like I don't think regions should just have a slot just because they exist. I think every team who goes to PGC needs to fight for it. So it's such a difficult like topic to talk about, because like I have mixed feelings, because while I think it's super important for, let's say, like the Japanese region to have a team to represent, it's like when there's a limited amount of slots at an event, like sometimes you kind of feel hard done when like these teams, not necessarily the Japanese team, like when these teams who kind of have like a last slot, like they usually just come like last or second last. Like PMA was a good example. Like I wasn't happy with PMA. Like they camped us way more than they should have. Like it honestly felt like they were just forefronting the event. And like I know these guys. I've heard of these guys. Like I know they're good players. So it just kind of sucks when like teams who are like like you can see that they are the worst team in lobby. Like you know they're the worst team in lobby, and they just get their own slot, and it takes away from like a Chinese team who's actually insane. So I don't know. Slots are difficult. I think like in a perfect world, I'd love an NA to have one more slot. But at the same time, once you give a region too many slots, like the last slots end up just being like fillers for the end. Like they just end up being like the last place teams. And like we were a last place team. Like we kind of sucked too. But like I think the lower down you go on the list, like top 6, top 7, top 8, like once you get to the bottom, like that's when the skill gaps really become apparent. And you can kind of already see that in NA, like the top 3 NA teams. Like I'd even put I mean FF into that category. Is like you can see the skill gap. It's quite clear. Like it's very very clear, especially in the regionals. Like us and FF were like 50 points above third or something. Like it's really clear. So it's a difficult thing to do, because yeah, the more slots you give regions, like the weaker the bottom slots are going to be. But then they get better from playing international. So I don't know. It's complicated. I think they just need to make it that like they need to combine more regions. Like I think like the Chinese Taipei, like I think APAC is such a difficult region to give slots to, because there's just so many countries, right? But then I think there's like certain countries that like they need to be combined. Like they can't have their own. Like I don't know if it was Chinese Taipei or Japan, but like one of them had like a 13 team lobby like in their finals. Like that's ridiculous to me. I think like if you can't even field 16 teams, like the quality of the teams at the top isn't even going to be that crazy. I mean, it sounds like I'm just dumping on Japan and Chinese Taipei, but it's more of just like I just want the best teams to be there, and I know it's not fun for them. Like I see the look on the players' faces when they get absolutely destroyed. I know how like demoralizing it is to come last because I've come last plenty of times. But I don't. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that without sounding like a dick.
I understand where you're coming from. Like to me, you've already combined North America and South America, right? So it's that same idea where you've got your regionals then in the final lobby. It's all put together, and there was a long time where the South American teams, there was a running joke going around that they didn't qualify. It was just I can't remember who it was, but someone said at one point that all the South American teams being in a lobby did was make it so the North American teams would place higher in the lobby, and it was like that's a rough thing to say because now you're looking at the lobby, and again, I say this with like I love the passion South Americans bring to esports. Like it's just nuts. But the amount that Falcons and like you said, Legacy and teams like that have come on in the last 12 months is only going to be good for the Americas because again, it means that every single team that aren't in the top one or two need to perform better to qualify for these international events. So a lot of love to how much they've improved, but I can see your point if they did combine a couple more regions to make that region a bit more competitive. But you spoke about Purple Moon or PM and a couple of other teams. I have a question, right? When you're at these events, and this isn't about skill, whether or not you think a team's better than you or not. Are there any teams that you just hate getting into gunfights with because of the style of their play? Like, is there someone that you're just like, oh, not these guys again, or not this team?
Well, I mean, for us, it was. I mean, we didn't actually fight PMA, but like every time we VOD review, we'd be like, these guys are griefing us on purpose. Like, they have to be. Like, they camped us so many times. It was actually like, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they were just like either so slow or just set up at choke points. And there was a few teams that tried to camp us. I think we had one game where we were camped by like 2 or 3 different teams, and we just happened to not run into them. Like, but a team that I hate running into is like Cerberus. I think they're just so aggressive. Like they just don't stop pushing. They are all individually so confident that they all just run. Like they all just as two just run at a 4-man, and the other team will be fighting a different 4-man. And I think teams that are that confident, they almost like appear like as more. Like if you're getting pushed by 2 people and they're pushing you with the aggression of like what you think is a 4-man, it kind of changes how you play. Like if you see people sprinting at you, you go, all right, there might be an anchor. I need to be careful. I shouldn't overpeak this. When in reality, it's just 2 dudes who are just actually have a target on your head and they're going to shit down your throat. So I think Cerberus is like definitely one of those teams that are really tricky to fight because they're so aggressive and they don't stop pushing. Like they seriously always push and they're so aggressive and they're so good that it works really well. So like when I know we're going to get into a fight with Cerberus, it's like I have to like mentally prepare myself that these guys are just going to be aggressive and they're going to do stuff that like I think isn't like the right thing, but it's going to get me killed if I don't like respect how aggressive they are.
So the question I have for you, and it's the last question around PUBG, have you ever ego pushed a team at an event because of who they were and not because of where they were posted in the lobby? Like, have you ever thought to yourself, yeah, screw those guys, I've seen someone get knocked, I'm getting involved?
I've done that plenty of times in regionals. Like I'll see this team be like, yeah, these guys are, I'm gonna destroy them, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I don't know. I feel like there's not that many situations where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's this team, I'm gonna go push them. But I think in regionals, it definitely is. Like you'll see this team get knocked, you'll be like, yeah, I know that team's weak. Let's just they're 1 knock. Let's just quickly go kill them and then come back to whatever we're doing. Like we're not gonna lose anything by doing that. I think in internationals, most teams are actually really good. I think internationals now are more competitive than ever. Like every team is like mechanically pretty similar. Like obviously, like some teams are better than others, but I think the baseline skill of every team is getting better. it's just the macro that really like determines like who the best teams are. And that's why teams like 17 and Twisted Minds are so good. Even Dano are really good at that too. So I don't remember. There's no like real examples where I've been like, oh my gosh, the team sucks at an international. But I've definitely done that plenty of times in regionals and throughout my career, even in APAC and on Fury. Like, you just know some teams crumble under pressure, and it's like, why wouldn't you push them? Like, I'm gonna throw 2 stuns at them, and they're gonna shit themselves. So I mean, why wouldn't I push them?
Like a bear behind them or something, you know that.
Yeah.
but but
Yeah, I mean, I was shitting myself.
yeah. Outside of PUBG, then, what do you like to do in your spare time? So for anyone who's watching this and they've got to kind of know you as a player and your thoughts in the game, I want to know more about you. So outside of PUBG, what do you like to do?
Well, I just finished my Bachelor of Business, so I've just
Congrats.
graduated. So I was part time, well, pretty much part time, uni student. So I did that. I didn't really put that much effort into uni, to be honest. I found it pretty boring and pretty easy, so I didn't really put that much time into it. But I like doing a lot of like sports, and I like being active. When I first started playing PUBG, I actually was pretty skinny. I think I was like 55 kilos. So I was definitely very, very skinny, and it kind of in like 2020, I kind of realized like how important confidence was in PUBG, because I've never really been a confident player, and I've never really been that much of a confident person. So I did what any skinny guy does when they're like, I think I was actually 19 at the time. Is I watched a David Lade transformation gym video, and I was like, holy shit, I need to do that. And over the last like 3 years, I've gained 30 kilos, and I'm a little chunky now, so I'm gonna try and lose some weight. But I go to the gym. Like, I think exercising and working out is probably the best thing you can do as a player. I think my biggest improvements and strides as a player was when I went from when I first started dedicating my life to being healthier. Yeah, and I think that was when I joined Fury. I think it was when I joined Fury. Yeah, I think it was when I joined Bay or Fury. I started working out and focusing a lot more on my health. So like 30 kilos is a lot of weight. Like, I like look back at the videos of me when being skinny, and I go like, wow, dude, how like, well, I don't recognize myself. And I think it gave me so much confidence just knowing that I achieved something that's like really tricky to do. I definitely think that's what's made me a good player today as well, is keeping my mind, body, and soul healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like doing sport. My favorite sport is water polo. I play water polo for my university team with all my friends, and I love playing water polo. And it's like I've played the game for so long. I played the game for like 10 years. So like, working out and getting bigger is also made water polo a lot more fun, because I used to be 55 kilos. People would just throw me around like a rag doll. But now, like, I am just a boulder, and I feel so confident in the water now. It's so funny. Like, I love playing like the rough house roles. I play center back a lot. I play center forward a lot. Like, I'm in the action. So yeah, I mean, I love exercising. I spend most of my time outside of the game, like, exercising really.
Yeah. Even for myself, I've lost 20 kilos this year. So
Well,
from the start of
that's
the
a
year,
lot.
yeah, and playing sport, I play football quite a bit. Like, the fact that I just, same as you, putting on the weight, you just feel a lot better. You're
Yeah.
more confident. You move better, and I think a lot of people need to realize that no matter what you're doing, just having a better level of fitness makes something more enjoyable, because you're not huffing and puffing the whole time and feeling bad. But
Yeah, I definitely think that, like, I try and encourage players who ask me like, what do I need to do to get better. I try to tell them like, have you tried like working out more? Like, have you tried like getting healthier? Because that honestly usually has a big impact than most people think. Like, a lot of people spend 12 hours a day in a TDM, and sure, you might be cracked like out of your mind, but when the pressure gets rough, like, you're gonna crumble. And I know a lot of players who are just mechanically insane, but when the pressure gets on them, they just completely crumble, because they don't have that fortitude and resilience. And I think like working out, I mean, I don't want to be like one of those people who says like gym makes your life just phenomenal and you just become a beast, but I think like doing something that takes discipline is like really good for building that mental fortitude.
yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. It worked for me, and it's worked for a lot of people. You got to give a lot of love to people like Kick too. Like, Kick is put in a
Yeah,
hell of
he's lost a lot of weight.
yeah, he's put in a hell of a lot of work, and I always say this: if you look at esports players, the ones that look after themselves are usually the ones that see the biggest improvements in how they perform, because again, it's body and mind connection, just being in better shape. So we're kind of coming to the end of the interview, as I know I've taken up a lot of your time already. One last topic, right? One last topic. PNC.
Yeah.
You've been selected for. I think you've played both, right? You've played two now.
Yes, two.
You've played two. A lot of high hopes have always been put around Australia going into these events because of the roster you have. You've got Tiggleton. You're looking at that. You got Luke 12, and you're thinking this is a really, really good team. Why do you think? So I'm going to put forward maybe my perspective as to why, and I want to know yours because you were actually in the trenches. So a lot of people will say why it hasn't worked. And I look at a lot of the other teams, and without saying anything too much, a lot of these other teams have a lot of teammates. You look at Korea, you look at, they're playing with each other all day, every day. Do you think that with PNC, some of the difficulties you had is the fact that you come from different teams and you don't play together as often as some of the other international teams did?
Honestly, like, that topic is like, it's so stupid. The fact that the rules were different for different regions, like, it genuinely felt like Korea was just like gifted the win. Like, obviously they deserved it, but like they just picked 3 players from the best Korean team and then just put the best Korean frag on it and then went boom, Team Korea. It was really just Danoa plus Haven, or Heaven, sorry. Well, yeah, Heaven, right? So yeah, I think that was kind of stupid, but I mean, I don't think that was the issue, right? I think the issue was that we all came from teams where we all did the same role. Like, we all played the same role on our team. So when we came together, we have 4 people who do the same thing on their team, right? And it's really hard to break those tendencies down, because like the reason we're that role in our respective team is because we have certain tendencies to our playstyle. So when we all came together, right, like we all played like off angle. We're like in 3-1 splits, we'd all be the one player on our team. Like Tig anchors a lot, I anchor a lot. Like Cow and Luke, like they love anchoring too. So we kind of had like this mesh of like 4 players who just did the same thing, and it made it really difficult to like do things that required like group efforts, right? So we had a lot of games where people just run off on their own and do stupid shit. Like Tig and I tried really hard to stay like grouped up and do stuff together, but it's just player tendencies. Like, you can't hide them. Like, there's how you've played the game and how you've gotten good is from doing a certain thing. So I think despite how much talent we have on our roster, I think it's just really tricky because we all kind of do the same thing and there's not much to get around it. But I think next PNC, I think we'll definitely change IGLs. Like, Luke's been IGL, and I think we'll probably change it to, I don't know, but I think the way we played wasn't good enough to do fantastic, and I think we have the talent to do fantastic, so I guess we have to try and figure out a new way what to do. But because realistically the roster probably isn't going to change that much. I think it'll still probably be like Tig guaranteed, probably Luke guaranteed now, since it just depends on the criteria again. But I think Luke and Tig will pretty much always be on the team. I think I will pretty much always be on the team, maybe as well. And then the 4th slot between like Cow or like Monty or Insight. So there's not really that many people that can go, but the combination, it doesn't really change the outcome that much. I think the only player that like really would change something is like Insight, and he's like more of like a hard IGL.
Yeah.
But I don't know how well he would fit in with the team. So like you just have to try. Maybe it would work. Who knows? Like, sometimes like I think maybe like I shouldn't even be on the team because like I don't know. There's just so many good OS players. Like, I respect every OS player like a lot. I think like every OS player is really talented.
Yeah. No, that's a good mindset to have. Well, look, as I said, I've taken a lot of your time, and I'm conscious that it's so close to the end of the year too, and families.
No, I'm having a good time. If you want to spam more questions, you can. I'm having a good time.
You know what? We'll do 1 or 2 more then. Seeing as you're okay with it, I'm gonna keep you here until you're like
do fun ones, man. Don't do boring ones. Like, get some.
I did this with. Did you see the interview that I did with Roth and Pixel?
Probably, but I probably forgot. Like I forget stuff so easily.
So I did quick fire questions with them about teammates, and
Oh, okay.
and basically to see what they said. So I'm going to do the same with you. So basically, I'm going to ask you a question, and you've got like 2 seconds to say a player's name, right? So
Okay. It's probably going to be Snakers, like 8 of them, at least half of them.
So well, it was Sharp for most of the ones for SSG. So to kick us off, you're going to an international event. Which player is most likely to forget their passport?
Snakers.
Who's most likely to sleep in for scrims?
Snakers. Oh well, I mean, sleep in for scrims. Like I'm like probably me because I live in Australia. But if it was like sleep in for something important, Snakers.
Most likely to troll your game?
Snakers.
Most likely to team kill?
Snakers.
Right. You're going to a bar and you want to have a good night. Which of your teammates are you most likely to take if you're only taking one?
Honestly, if I want to have a good night, I'm taking Mime. That guy's a comedy genius. I'd laugh so much. Like I love spending time with Mime. He's like a big brother to me now, and he's so funny. So I'd take Mime.
So 1 versus 1 to win PGC. Which of your players are you backing?
Snakers, 100%.
So yeah, you were right. 8 out of 10. Like it's
dude. Like he's the stupidest player I've ever seen, but he's also one of the best. So like, and he's just a big dumb goofy boy. So he kind of covers every base. Like he's a troll IRL, he's a troll in game, he's cracked in game, he's stupid IRL. Like he's got every base covered, you know. So there's no real question where I'd be like, oh, it's not Snakers. Like it's gonna be Snakers like every time.
And I feel like every team needs it. Every friend group needs that person as well. You know, life's no fun if you don't have one.
Oh no, Snake is like I love him to death. He's like a brother to me at this point. But gosh, he's one of the smartest dumb people I know. Like he is so like academically intelligent, but he is seriously super street. Like we say he's street stupid all the time, and he refuses it. But then he'll just do the stupidest thing known to man the very next day. So like I love him to death, but he is seriously like a hamster. He's got nothing in that brain. But then when he plays PUBG, he can aim. I'll tell you that he can fucking aim.
Yeah. How important is it that you get on with your teammates? Because obviously you're going to these events, and every decision you make impacts everyone on the team. Every decision they make impacts everybody. Like, is there an element that you really have to be close, like a close knit group, if you want to succeed?
Yeah, look, honestly, like I feel like, man, this is a talk about like being honest and stuff. Like I think our team as a whole, like we really like spiraled downwards with our roster, and I think the main reason is because like Kick kind of disconnected from the rest of our team. And I think being friends with your team is like incredibly important, but there has to be some level of professionalism. And that's more of like a Jake issue, to be honest. But like with Kick in 2023, like he kind of like things just changed, you know, like the respect maybe wasn't there, or like the vibes weren't really there. But I mean, look at us. We came last at pretty much every event we played with him, international, and like just having that one person who isn't vibing, it honestly affects them poorly. Like they're going to play bad, and like we're all going to play bad. So I think it's super important you don't necessarily have to be best friends with your teammates, but you have to like have a really positive, like uplifting environment, even if you're not friends. Otherwise, like it just turns to shambles. Like when you're doing bad, it becomes even worse, and that's where a lot of teams fail, is they're like toxic or whatnot. And like being toxic to your teammates doesn't really do anything. And like people are toxic in creative ways. Like being passive aggressive is toxic to me. Like there's like, just because you're not screaming at teammates doesn't mean you're not being toxic, you know. Like there's multiple ways to manipulate your teammates and make them feel bad. So I think being friends with your team is super important, and I think like maintaining a positive relationship is incredibly important. So while I don't necessarily blame Kick for like how like the team environment was, like I don't necessarily think it was like all his fault. I think like it had a huge impact, and he knows that because he obviously played, like he didn't play as well as he did in 2022. Like he was phenomenal in 2022. And I think that's because we were like best buds. Like the whole team was best buds in 2022. We had like barely any issues. other than the occasional Snakers and Kickstart banter, which got a little hectic sometimes. But yeah, I think staying close to your teammates is super important. You want to have their back, they want to have your back. Like, that's just how it goes. You want to make sure you trust the person who's trading you at the end of the day.
Yeah. And when you make a change, it's got to be difficult for all parties, right? You know, you guys are used to playing with Kick for so long. You know, Mime's obviously used to playing with the Sonics roster for so long. Something that teams like to do when a new player joins is some element of hazing. So, for example, in Siege, there's a guy called Spoit, one of the biggest content creators in the world. Literally turned 18, and as soon as he turned 18, there was so many orgs looking to pick him up as a comp player. He still had to sing in front of the whole team. You know, they still made him do that thing regardless of how big his following was on social media. I want to know, did that happen with Mime, or was it a case of, you know what, Mime's big name, we're not going to do it?
No, we absolutely tested Mime because, like, at the end of the day, like after Kick left, we were like, dude, personality is really important. Like, Kick is such a great player. Like, he's definitely like one of the top players in the world, but he just didn't work because of personality issue, like differences. So we were really focused on personality, and like we were not testing Mime, but we were just like seeing what Mime was like. But he just came out of his shell on his own. Like he fit in so well and so quickly. And he's so goofy and made everyone laugh. Like, we love laughing and joking around as a team. So he basically slotted in so quickly because he had the same type of humor and he liked making like funny jokes. Like, he just wanted to make everyone happy and laugh, right? And like this is why Mime's so funny. He's like, he didn't even mean to do it, right? He's just like so funny naturally, and he says the most random stuff that we find funny. That I feel like we kind of gave him a lot of confidence that he was funny. Like, we liked him because everything he said we were laughing at because he was just hilarious. Even though he probably thought we were just like making fun of him, we actually thought he was just like hilarious, and we loved having him, and we loved having his company. So we didn't really haze him. Like, we didn't really care that he was a big name, right? Like, we're like, okay, cool. Like, you're a big name. Like, that's cool, right? But we just want to know what you're like. And like he like came out of his shell really quickly, and if anything, like, we have realized that like we need to trust him more, and I think that's where our team needs to improve, is more like trusting each other a bit more. Like, he needs to trust us sometimes, but most of the time we need to trust him, to be honest. Like, I think he's in the right most, like, maybe 60-70% of the time. So yeah, like, we didn't haze him at all, but he kind of just fit in by himself, really.
Any issues at the event of him walking to the Sonics computers by mistake, or, you know, forgetting that he had changed environment?
No, he's so professional. Like, he doesn't hold grudges. Like, he definitely was upset about the Sonic stuff, but like, he just wants us to win now. Like, we're his new family. He just wants us to win, and I respect that about him. He's such a competitor. He just has raw emotion. Like, he just I don't know. I can't even describe Mime. He's literally a robot that's sent from a different dimension, who's just a genius at PUBG. And also a little crazy.
Yeah, and when you went to the event, because, you know, there's so much crossover with Sonics now, with Kick being there and Mime being with you, did you find that you guys hung out with each other a bit more? Like, was there a lot more time where, you know, in downtime where you were hanging out, or were there other teams or players?
I mean, I honestly probably can't talk about it too much, but I don't think, like, we definitely didn't spend that much time with Sonics. I think, like, out of respect for Mime, I don't think, like, I mean, I really can't say that much, but I don't think it was necessarily, like, left a good taste in Mime's mouth. Like, I think he was a little upset and betrayed. He felt betrayed, so, like, obviously, someone stabs you in the back, you don't really want to hang out with them that much. And like, I mean, I still like, I'm great friends with everyone on Sonics. Like, even Kick, even though we had our differences and we argued a lot, like, Kick and I, like, still friends. At least I think so now. Obviously, there was like a week or two where I said to everyone he sucked. But now that I'm not reformed, but like, I've had time to reflect. Like, I'm really good friends with everyone on Sonics. Like, I definitely hang out with them. Everyone on the team's cool with them. Like, but as far as, like, we didn't actually really hang out with that many teams at PGC. PGC this year was kind of weird. Like, you didn't really get to see that many teams because everyone was in their, like, own ecosystem, and the place we were at was, like, the mall was just massive, right? like you didn't go to lunch or dinner with teams. You went with your team, and then you might happen to see a different team while you're there. Like I feel like that kind of was different at other events because like they're a bit smaller. But like PGC and PGS2, like the event was just so big that you didn't really see that many other teams. But we're good friends with FF2. Like we're friends with Roth and we're also I was really good friends with Legacy. Like I think Legacy fucking awesome. I love Brazilians. They're gonna be the funnest people alive. So I was really good friends with the LFP. He was my boy. Who else? I mean I was friends with heaps of people. Like you got to hang out with heaps of teams. But as far as like us and Sonics, like we didn't really spend any like four-man time together. Like both four-mans together at the same time.
Yeah.
And if we did, it was like it was normal. Like don't get me wrong. Like everyone was civil and happy and chilling. But it wasn't like we didn't go out of our way to spend four-on-four time together.
Yeah. No, I do like a lot of the people that you said that you like hanging out with. I like talking to those people too. Like one of the things I really respect about Roth is if it's a spade, he's going to call it a spade. You know, he's always straight. You know, he shoots straight. He's just whatever it is.
He's very straightforward.
Yeah. But is there any players that you just love hanging out with at international events? Like, as you know, when you see that you're going to an event, are you like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be here. Can't wait to catch up with him.
Yeah, there's a few. Like I have pretty good friends in like every region almost. Like I love like Sol from Danoa. Like him and I like get along really well. Like I love Haisaki from Cerberus. I'm good friends with Hymas now. Like Hymas and I, like he's so shy. It's actually kind of funny, and like he doesn't speak fantastic English. So like I'm friends with like a lot of people. I like being really social at these events. But there's just like heaps of players who like I really respect and like spending time with, and from every region. Like I like spending time with Fex. I like James. Like some of these guys, like Vard. Like I have a lot of people I respect, and like I love like seeing them at LAN. I like seeing all these people who I only get to see like a few times a year, and like we're just boys and we just respect each other. At least I hope so. I respect them. Who knows? But yeah, there's heaps of players that I love spending time with. But I think my favorite is probably like Sol and like Haisaki. I think they're all the service guys are actually pretty cool. So, and there's also Duck Juice from TE. He was probably
nuts.
The coolest person out there.
He's really nuts too. Like he's
really good. He's so funny. I love that guy so much. I hope I get to see him this year or next year. Sorry, but yeah, there's heaps of people I like seeing, and that's part of the game. Like there's heaps of you get to make friends at every event, and I've been to a lot of events, so I've got a lot of friends.
Yeah, I'm like obviously I've not got to work any big events in PUBG yet, but my goal in 2024 is to get to an event, whether that's as talent or whether that's as just a viewer. Like I really want to go, and there's some players that I want to meet. And to be honest, if he qualifies, one player I'd love to meet is Cow. Right, the first time I ever spoke to him, his first words from me were "Give me a big kiss." That's the first thing he said to me ever. Like
Cow is a specimen. I think he's actually I don't know if I can say like he's trialing for teams. I think Cow is like a really good like asset to any team. So yeah, I think he will be at an event next year. I think so.
Yeah, love to. And just even though I'm from EU, I feel like I'm bi-regional. If you get me, like I get on with all the players in EU, and I feel like I get on with a lot of the players in NA. It's just I really want to see the regions do well. But look, I do have to call the interview here because
that's okay.
For the viewers home, technically I've got to start my day job now. But
that's all right.
Fludd, it's genuinely been a lot of pleasure getting to talk to you and get to know you a bit better, because I feel like I've known you for 2 years, but this is the first time we've properly sat down and had a talk.
Yeah, I mean, like I love talking. Like I didn't even realize how long it's been. Like I love like yapping. I'm a bit of a yapper. I love talking.
It's a good thing to have. So I suppose to wrap things up, I'm going to open the floor to you. Is there anything you want to say to either your fans or the Luminosity fans ahead of 2024?
Well, I just want to thank everyone for supporting us. Obviously, like it's us versus Sonics. A lot of the Twitch chats. I'm glad that our fans are sane and they're kind of normal human beings. Like I don't think any of our fans are weird, to be honest. So I really appreciate our fans. I will be trying my best to upload more educational content because I want everyone to get the most joy out of PUBG possible. So keep your eyes peeled for that if I can get onto it. It takes a lot of time. I like spitballed a few ideas. There's actually so much content I need to go over. But yeah, thank you everyone for supporting us. Like, we'll be hopefully better in 2024. I think we have all the tools to be great, and we just need to get to work.
Yeah, well, Fludd, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know it's, what, 10 p.m. for you now? Maybe a little bit
11
later?
p.m. So it's bedtime. It's bedtime for me.
So thanks a million for joining me. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. Best of luck to you and Luminosity in 2024. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take care, everyone, and have a great year end.